Welcome to patch 0.53. The devs have added 3 new cards, and you've got 4 copies of each of them.
Toss the bucket.
Patch 0.53 is an exciting one happening just 2 days before the next official Spellweaver tournament happening April 18th. With the 3 new cards that the devs have introduced, everyone is now going to get 4 copies of those cards so that the playing field is even. We're going to look at those 3 cards in a minute, but first let's take a look at the rest of the patch notes. Creatures can no longer both attack and use ZZZ powers. In other words, the creature uses the card power or the attack, not both. That was the way it was originally intended. In some cases, that was not happening, so that's been fixed. Elven Sanctuary can no longer boost non-elf creatures, so only the pointy-eared guys get the buff now, as the card was originally intended to function. Cards also go to their initial owner's deck, graveyard, or hand. In some situations, although I don't have specifics, cards were not going back to their original owner's hand when said situation arose. The devs have fixed that. And weakness emblems now properly affect Lamp of Zephyr. We all know and love the Lamp, especially if you watch my Vamp Lamp deck video. It's a really powerful card, and it's very useful in a lot of different situations. Weakness emblems were not affecting it properly, making it even more OP than it probably already is, so that has been fixed. And there was another update on the counter of online players. When you had more than 100 people online, the counter was jacking up a little bit, so that's been fixed. But enough of all this, because we want to see those 3 new cards, and what are they all about? So let's take a look at them. The first of the 3 new cards is Exercise, and I don't mean hit the gym. It's an order aspect card, an instant action spell no less, that allows you to destroy a curse. Now it doesn't dictate whether it's a friendly or enemy curse or which side of the board it's on, so I assume you could play it at any point in time on any curse, and it allows you to draw a card. So it's a very good at cycling itself and taking care of a curse. However, I don't see a lot of curses in play currently, so I'm not exactly sure how valuable this card is going to be, but something to take a look at if we see more curses in the gameplay. The second card we're going to look at is called Expel. Now I know what you're thinking. That looks to be about the exact opposite of Exercise. That was an order card. This is a corruption, kind of a good versus evil. This one destroys a blessing. That one destroyed a curse. Again, the opposite. They both cycle because they draw a card when you play it. They're both instant action spells, and I'd say you're about right. It seems to be an exact opposite of the previous card. However, I think I tend to see a little bit more of the blessings being played than the curses. I might be wrong, and that might be my personal experience, but you might see Expel used a little bit more against those huge Order Angel decks than the Exercise in the Order decks themselves, because they have other control mechanisms. This is useful for the corruption decks that don't necessarily play control, and we'll just have to see how it works, but I think Expel is a little bit more valuable in current gameplay than Exercise, but I could be wrong. And finally, the third card that's been added is the Chalice of Yunks. Now, there's been some controversy about this card already, and the devs have assured us this was in alpha, and it just wasn't present in beta because of some artwork that wasn't ready yet, but it was tested in alpha and did not seem to be too overpowered. That, of course, is the concern by a lot of people. Now, this is a Dominion card. I'm really excited about this because I love the Dominion aspect. And will this find a way into my Vamp Lamp deck? Video link floating around the screen somewhere. Click on that, check it out. Absolutely, this will. And in some playtesting, I have to say, wow. I am super excited for this card. It might give the appearance of being a little overpowered. That remains to be seen, however, because it will not function in a very fast-paced deck. It's a slow deck, so of course your aggro decks are going to rush and kill before you actually get the Chalice of Yunks out. So let's talk about exactly how this card plays real quick. You sacrifice a creature and you gain 1 energy. At the start of your turn, you get life equal to the energy cost, or the energy counter on the Chalice, right? That's at the start of your turn. Now, here's another thing. You can only sacrifice your own creatures. So in my Vamp Lamp deck, this works really well if I've got a Disquisitive Spirit out or a Contraptionist, because those are simply there to pull out an obelisk or to draw a card. So, for example, the Disquisitive Spirit, I play that card, I draw my card, I use the Chalice to sacrifice the Disquisitive Spirit. Actually, I got that a little backwards. I play the Disquisitive Spirit, bear with me. I use the Chalice to sacrifice it, thus drawing a card by killing it, and I get 1 energy counter on my Chalice. Now here's the thing. You don't get that life back until the start of your next turn, so your enemy still has an opportunity to kill you. However, if you get several Chalices on the board, and with 2 or 3 life, yeah, it's going to be really hard for your opponent to kill you because if they don't do it in one turn, you're going to get all your life back or potentially more. So yes, you can escalate up to a 40 win health potentially quickly. However, you are also sacrificing your own minions. So in a deck like my Vamp Lamp deck, that really puts that Jin out as the only win condition because I'm sacrificing all my other creatures just to get the chalices bumped up. And if I lose them to an artifact like a Test of Time, then I'm kind of screwed there. So I think ultimately in the end, after spending all this time explaining the Chalice of Yunks and how I see it functioning, I think it's at best in the middle. I think there's some advantages. I think there's some disadvantages to seeing it. Of course, as usual, I can be wrong, but I think it's not really going to change the game too much. However, I will be putting this in my Vamp Lamp deck because I do like its ability to gain a little bit extra life because, well, quite frankly, it fits perfectly into the theme of the Vamp Lamp, and it's just another mechanism for me to gain life as a secondary win condition. So that wraps up patch 0.53. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do social stuff, and I'll see you on the boards.
Ready.